Nutrition Depot, your fitness fuel. Welcome to another episode of Nutrition Depot Podcast. We are back for another episode of Supplementation 101 with someone that needs no introduction. We got Timothy Ting, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back.
Glad to be back.
We got BS Sports Science from UST, BS Nutrition and Dietetics CEU, Registered Nutritionist and Dietitian, NSCA Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, MNU Clinical Performance Nutritionist, PN Certified Nutrition Coach, PN1. So you are the perfect man for this podcast.
Glad to hear.
Yes, because you handle a lot of athletes.
Correct.
Yes. So I know a lot of people are questioning, what is whey protein? What does it do? Is it good? Is it bad? What is that even made of?
Right. Okay. So people have been drinking this stuff since what? The 1960s. Even yung mga bodybuilders, the Arnold, showed this stuff like almost 24/7, right? So whey protein, ano nga ba siya? If you look at milk, ayan, so it actually comes from natural source because whey protein is part of milk. Yan, so yan yung first fun fact. Milk, when you dissect it, it contains two primary proteins. So you have majority of it is casein protein, used to make cheese. So the thing that people love, that is a form of casein protein. Yeah, yung mga mozzarella, etc., blah, blah, blah. Then, as a byproduct of making that cheese, so what they do is that they acidify the milk. So either they put lemon or rennet.
Rennet, yes.
Yeah, something to like make the milk clump up, right? And when it clumps up, majority of that mass is casein. And the water that's remaining there, that is your magical whey protein.
Wow. Wait, so you can literally make this at home?
Yeah, you can make this at home.
Okay, so it's not chemicals.
Right. It does contain a few chemicals to process it.
Right.
Because you're not going to be chugging cheese water.
Yeah, right.
No.
We gotta make it taste yummy.
Yeah, you got to make it taste yummy. So there's certain levels of processing to make it more convenient and palatable to the modern market.
Wait, this is so interesting because when people think whey protein, a lot of people still have that misconception that it is produced in a lab with no natural ingredients, that it's coming out of thin air.
Right.
It's a little intimidating because it's in a powder form. And I think for the people that don't know where it's coming from, it's scary. So thank you for letting us know that it actually comes from milk.
Yeah. Scientists are not magicians. You have to get it from somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. So that means like all milk has this protein.
Correct. All milk that comes from actually milk, like cow milk.
Okay.
Yeah. So hindi counted dito yung other forms of quote-unquote milk. Like yung mga rice milk, etc. Those do not contain whey.
But those things, they are not necessarily milk. They're just like...
Washings. They're starch.
Yeah, starch drinks.
Yeah, starch drinks. Alam mo yung parang the thing that your lola gives you when you're sick? Yeah, that's the same stuff as that.
Actually, that's following the next question because the first question is, what is whey protein? And it comes from milk. But I know there's other whey proteins out there. What are the other types of protein?
When you say whey protein kasi, I'm assuming that you're meaning like the supplement version of this, the powdered thing, right? Yeah. So there are many variants that's marketed at this point because we have, again, this thing has existed since the 1980s, 1960s, right? It's been there. You have certain types called whey protein. You have certain types called beef protein. Some of it is like hemp protein, rice pea combinations, meat protein, egg white protein. So madami ng forms yung market na yan. But if you're asking directly about whey protein, madaming versions yung refinement niya. So picking up from what I said earlier, diba galing siyang milk, and then casein becomes cheese, and then the remaining whey is processed, right? There are nuances to the processing of this whey. So you have terms like WPC 40, which means whey protein concentrate 40. 40 means it is on the lower quality end, and the highest is 80. The lowest is more like 30 pala, not 40. 40 is usually used for cakes, pastries, usually as binders or emulsifiers. 80 is the version that you buy in supplement tubs.
So the higher it is there, the better the quality.
The better the quality. Yun.
So not all protein powders are built the same.
Yes, they're not the same. Hindi mo pwede sabihin protein is protein, period.
Okay. So years ago, I had this thing with like a bread company. Can I talk about it?
No?
Can I talk about it? Okay. I had this thing with a bread company, and I kind of doubted the amount of protein that is in it.
I know which bread company you're
You know what
talking
I mean?
about. Yeah.
There's two, to be exact.
Yeah.
There's two
I know.
that I was like, this looks kind of tricky. How does this piece of bread have the same amount of protein as a pure whey protein powder?
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. So, right from the get-go, I would say the keyword here is bioavailability. So, it's just a fancy term of how much of that protein can you actually grasp and use,
Absorb,
metabolize in your body. So, the thing with protein is, and humans, is you are not a machine that when you plug in protein, it pops out as
Automatic.
protein as well.
Yeah.
Right? Hindi siya mais na pag kinain yung mais sa other end, mais pa rin. Hindi siya ganon. Okay? How it works is when you take in a certain protein, bioavailability means if it goes through your entire digestive system, meaning you chew it, you swallow it, it gets mixed with stomach acid, goes to your small intestine, ferments in your large intestine, all that, ilan natira. So we have this fancy term with it called PBCAAs. And for you guys at home, you can just Google that. It's just, it stands for protein, digestibility, corrected amino acid score. So basically it's a score from 0 to 1. The higher the score, the more you can use it. The lower the score means up to 0 means it's total trash. It just goes right in and right out. So, the nuances of that says na pinakamataas doon would be whey protein concentrate, so WPC 80. WPI means whey protein isolate, which is 90% na protein. And then the last 10% na questionable is like the fats, the flavorings, and other stuff na natira doon. Okay? Because you can't totally have like 100% whey. It's gonna taste really bad.
Funky.
Yeah, it's just, I would say funky is being kind to it. Right? You gotta have some fat, some, items there that's left over. So if you're a hardcore protein enthusiast, sure, you could go for the highest quality protein possible, but you won't probably enjoy the taste. But if you're someone who's a little bit more on the holistic side, getting the WPC 80 is already good enough as well because it contains some vitamins and minerals that is left over from the processing from the milk part of it, right? Yeah. And then there are other forms still, like what you call WPH or hydrolyzed whey protein, which is usually found in infant formulas, yung mga products na available sa medical. We call these sa medical field nutraceuticals, yung mga Ensure, mga ganon. So those things contain the hydrolyzed version, meaning easier, pre-digested version of these whey proteins na better sila talaga for people who have trouble digesting protein. Yun. So on the same note, I would also like to note that WPI or whey protein isolate is good for people who have lactose intolerance. Kasi kaka-refine niya na halos 90% pure protein na siya. Super konti na lang yung lactose na natira.
I've been taking that for years.
Yeah.
The whey isolate. And it never makes me bloat.
Yeah.
Even if I have like intolerance.
To lactose. Because that's the key word, intolerance. It doesn't mean you are completely banned from it. It's more of there's a certain amount that
There's
you
a
can
limit.
tolerate. If it goes past the amount, I'll see you in the bathroom. Parang ganun.
Yeah. So it's a different story if it's like allergies and intolerance.
Oh yeah, definitely. Usually when you say allergies, you're talking about proteins. You're allergic to a specific type of protein, like chicken, shrimp, But if you're talking about intolerances, you're talking about sugars. That's why lactose is a sugar.
Okay, so if you are lactose intolerant, whey isolate is the way to go.
Yep.
Is the way to go.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Okay.
I see what you're doing.
Okay. No, we talked about absorption and how much really goes into our bodies, right? The corn analogy, if you will. I can't unsee it now, everybody. I wanted to ask, is that readily available in the market? Is there a way to read that, like in the nutrition labels, how much is really absorbed? Or how do you measure that?
Yeah, it goes back to what I said about the PDCAAs. So most companies should have this information online, but it costs money, it costs extra, right? So when it comes to choosing whey protein, I think the old adage prevails. You gotta read the label, and you gotta know what you're looking for, right? So if the front part of the package says whey protein isolate, and you flip the container and you start seeing not whey protein isolate on the very first part of that ingredient list, that means you're not truly buying whey protein isolate, but you're buying some sort of maybe a blend. So a blend could be any of those other proteins I mentioned mixed together to form a secret formula. Yeah. So, yeah, commonly, if practical recommendation yung hinahanap mo, I would say, hanapin mo talaga yung transparent. Kita mo, okay, whey protein isolate, this flavor. When I flip that, so fun fact, in the ingredient list, the first item that is shown there is usually the item that has the most content.
Inside.
Okay. Inside. So if you see sugar as number 1, alam mo, majority, asukal yung laman nun.
Okay.
And then you see number 2, let's say whey protein isolate, then that's number 2 lang. If binaliktad mo yung label and you start to see the first ingredient there is sabihin mo WPC or whey protein concentrate, and then there's no specification, you don't know which type of WPC siya. Kasi there are multiple types, like I said previously, na may 30, may 40, may 50, and so on. Na anong quality ba ng protein yung nakukuha mo? So if you're going for whey protein concentrate, you want to see WPC 80 mismo.
80.
Yung nandoon.
Parate,
oo. Kasi yun yung grade na ginagamit for the supplement itself. Otherwise, then that is more of an additive sa mga cakes, cookies, pastry, and stuff like that.
So 80 is the magical number to look for in your labels.
For concentrate. Pero if the product is, of course, isolate, then it should be WPI. So
Also
isolate.
80%.
No, that's 90%.
90.
WPI is 90%.
Okay. There's a lot of math. But 80, 90 is what we're looking for.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Let's talk about the difference between concentrate and isolate. What are the different types? What does it mean?
So yeah, I've been talking about WPC and WPI. C stands for concentrate and I stands for isolate. So C, yun yung sinasabi kanina that it spans from WPC 30 all the way to WPC 80. Yun. So the higher the quality, the better. So usually, when you say WPC 30 to 80, it means how much refinement did that milk leftover product na whey, that yung tubig, go before it reaches into that tub. So, the more refined means more protein yung content niya. Yung kulang na part is the other impurities na carbohydrate, lactose, fat, etc. Yun. With WPI or isolate, it is about 90% or even above na protein content siya.
Would you say that isolate is better than concentrate?
That's a debatable point kasi it really depends on, remember kasi supplement siya, it means to supply the missing piece to a person's diet. So if you're planning to use it as a pure replacement for the protein part of your meal, mahilig kang kumain ng puro carbs. So since you're getting carbs and fats in your diet already, kaso kung wala kang protein talaga napapasok, then the WPI, the whey protein isolate, may work better to supplement the missing piece of your diet. Pero kung meron ka naman kinakain na regular food containing like various meats and etc., may protein ka naman doon, even WPC is okay.
Okay.
Kasi you're getting some of it from the whole food and some of it from the supplement.
Would you say if you are dieting, cutting weight, or bulking, there should be a different protein powder to be ingested?
One can argue yes, but also I don't think it's that big of a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things na if you're really hardcore, you're the top 2%.
Yeah.
It does make a difference.
It's mga grant tech.
Yeah, yung mga ganyan. Yung mga idol na ganyan. Meron yun. But if you're talking about somebody who's like, you know, an office worker, sedentary, you just want to like, you know, get your protein in, doesn't really matter, to be honest.
Sometimes for me, the flavors matter.
Exactly. Right? Nandun tayo sa level na yun.
Yeah.
If you can take it, you don't hate it,
Yeah.
sure, I think that would be a good starting point. And then you can just talk about refining it as you get the grant.
Sustainability and getting the habits of taking that protein.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that starting point
Yep.
because I think a lot of people listening are beginners or some are also or have been taking this for a while. So, you know, this is a refresher course for all of us because I've been taking protein for I think 10 years now and I don't even know exactly what's in there. So thank you, Tim, for clarifying.
Of course,
these
you're
things.
welcome.
I wanted to ask also, what is the importance of timing when it comes to consuming your whey protein for optimal results? Is it really after or before the workout or any time of the day?
Okay. So the keyword I picked up with your question was the keyword optimal. So since we're talking about optimal, getting enough protein depending on your goals. Syempre, if you're a bodybuilder, that's a different target. If you're a runner, that's a different target, right? If you're totally not exercising, that's a different target. So just to set a baseline, we have something called the RDA. That's recommended daily allowance, meaning it's the minimum amount that people should have according to our nutrition grandmasters or boards or agencies all around the world. It's about 0.8 grams per kilogram of your body weight. So medyo maliit lang siya, meaning if you're a 100 kilo person, it's 80. Right? So 80 grams of protein is quite small, even for anyone. That's the minimum amount. Now, if you're talking about ideal amount, then it gets complicated because simply getting your protein requirements as a whole per day will produce a different effect than getting it within something called a leucine threshold.
What does that mean?
Ayun. So, si leucine threshold, leucine is an amino acid. So, amino acids are building blocks of protein. There's a total of 20 of them. Out of the 20 of them, 11 are non-essential, and then 9 are conditionally essential. And part of that 9 na VIP are the BCAAs na popular.
Another buzzword.
Another buzzword siya. But basically, part of that is a very, very special amino acid called leucine. And siya yung nagda-drive ng muscle gain. Okay. So when you say leucine threshold, you consume enough of protein, because remember, protein contains leucine. Because it's like a full picture. Amino acids are just puzzle pieces, right? When you hit enough leucine in that span of time, let's say kumakain ka ng breakfast, na hit mo yung leucine mo doon, it spikes muscle building right away. It sends a signal, oy, build tayo muscle. Right?
Immediately.
Yeah, immediately. But the thing is, it doesn't do that up until you hit that threshold.
So there is a limit to how much parang protein is absorbed in a meal.
Yeah, there is a certain optimal limit to it. That's the more correct term. I'm not saying that you won't absorb protein past this. It will absorb, but at a diminished capacity. The easiest analogy I can give you from here is, imagine mo, you have a lot of work to do for the entire week. Monday ka lang pumasok. Overflow. Even gaano kagaling ka na worker, I'm pretty sure you won't be able to do your job efficiently, optimally. Will you be able to get it done? Probably, yeah, with some mistakes. Yan. So, ganun din sa katawan ng tao. If you spread it out, it can do its job better.
More efficiently.
What
is the threshold then?
The threshold is computed somewhere between 0.3 to 0.5 grams per kilogram of body weight ng protein per meal. So that means for a typical person that's around 70 kilos, you're talking about somewhere between 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal. So most commonly, you'd see protein supplements be set at around 25, so somewhere in the middle of that. So if you're taking protein supplements, you don't have to be concerned with this special leucine threshold kasi nasa 25 na siya. But if you're a bigger person, then you might consider
a bigger threshold.
A bigger threshold kasi relative siya to the body weight.
Right.
Ayun.
I know your macros also differ when you're cutting and gaining muscle. So the amount of protein you need is different from another person.
Yes, definitely. Kasi relative na siya to your goals, your training training status and your body weight.
But there's no limit for the absorption all across the board.
There's no limit to it. It's just there is an optimal limit where you can really sulit yung magagawa mo. The other parts, pwede naman, it's just you're getting diminishing returns.
I know there was an issue about amino spiking. What does that even mean?
Yeah, so, well, amino spiking is, it's a business practice, I would say. It's quite on the gray area pagdating sa ethics.
Sketchy.
Sketchy, correct. How do we say this? It goes back to how to beat the test without really being blatantly cheating.
Is this the protein test? The amount of protein is in a product. So there are ways to hack it.
Yeah, of course, if you know how the test works. Right? So usually, how the test works is that they don't actually test for all the amino acids. Na yung 20 na sinasabi ko, diba? Sabi ko, 20 yung building blocks. If you test for all of them, dun mo makikita kung totoong protein siya. But people don't usually do that kasi it costs a lot of money to do that. So, scientists know that protein compounds contain nitrogen. Kumbaga, carbs is carbohydrate, hydrogen, and oxygen. There's no nitrogen there. Fats, wala ding nitrogen dyan. Protein lang ang may nitrogen.
Okay.
So, compounds creating proteins, even the amino acids, yung 20 na building blocks, contain nitrogen. So, when you say amino spiking, is that dadayain mo yung test by throwing in, imbis na full 20 na
Whey.
complete na protein, you throw in a few amino acids in there that will register as protein in the test.
What?
Oh, may ganon. So, for example, ako, let's say I were to grab, let's say, glutamine. Glutamine is the most abundant amino acid out there. Even your body, rice has glutamine, everything has glutamine, right? Your body produces it naturally. So, mura siya per gram as compared to complete proteins. If I threw like 20 grams of glutamine in there, the test would register that as protein.
So even if that test proves, for example, that a specific protein powder gives this amount, that doesn't necessarily mean that amount is going to be absorbed.
Yeah.
Because of that amino spiking.
More on, it's going to be absorbed, but will it do its intended effect, which is muscle growth, which I assume, right? And remember, leucine is the most important one there.
How do we know if it's fake?
Hey, so unfortunately, there's really not much else that you can do visually. There's no egg test na pag lumutang yung itlog, fresh siya, gano'n.
There's may mga litmus test, diba?
The only proper way to know about it is if number one, you really have to just, get a company that you trust. So you have to be specific with the companies na kung nagpapa-third party testing yung companies na yan, tas available yung data sa'yo, you see that they're transparent, they're trustworthy, right? So usually, they would be able to test for those items.
This is why I trust NutraBio because it has third-party lab testing.
Yeah, definitely. I would attest to that kasi if even you look at the product itself, the company has its own manufacturing plant and it also has full label disclosure. So you know what you're buying talaga. So, okay lang sa akin na hindi kung concentrate or isolate yan.
Yeah.
Basta alam ko, pag binili ko siya, concentrate talaga na bibili ko.
Yes.
And it's WPC 80. Yun.
Always.
Always.
Check your labels,
Check
everybody.
your labels, exactly.
And it's also a plus that it tastes really good.
Subjectively.
Subjectively, I love the vanilla and the cake batter. That's
Cake batter.
diba? Cake batter.
And mix it with everything.
Exactly. I've been making pancakes with it. I've been making like protein oats with it.
Yeah.
So, parang cake for breakfast na rin. Yeah. Basta NutraBio, add to cart. Does whey protein contain BCAA, all whey protein?
Dapat, yes, it should. Because, again, BCAAs are part of a whole family of amino acids. Now, there's 20 of them, right? And in that 20 of them, kasama yung 3 very essential amino acids, which is isoleucine, leucine, and valine, aka your BCAAs. So, all whey proteins should contain BCAAs by logic. So, it would be a redundancy if a certain whey protein brand highlights we contain X amount of BCAAs. Because why do you need to do that? Baka defensive, parang ganun.
Parang you're oversharing na hindi naman kailangan.
Or baka benefit of the doubt, baka gusto lang nila i-share.
Baka. Oh my God, it's hard to trust what's out there these days,
Exactly,
if I'm
yeah.
being honest. I really like how I have a brand that I trust, and even my vitamins I get from NutraBio. So
I mean, if I'm a nutritionist, I used it, right? So.
yeah, exactly. It's Tim approved, everybody. Tim approved. Now, we were talking about like the misconceptions, good or bad, of whey protein. When you say whey protein online, people still think about their kidneys. Will it affect their kidneys? Is it bad for your kidney? What does that even mean?
Okay, so this issue has been in and out since, I don't know, it's probably older than me at this point. So, will it harm the kidneys? The answer is, it depends if your kidneys are healthy. So, same as running. Right? If you run on a broken foot, will it harm your foot?
Yes.
Exactly. Same thing with protein. You take protein supplement if your kidneys are shot, then probably it is not recommended because it may cause further problems to an already impaired kidney. However, if it is healthy to begin with, it doesn't cause any further or does not cause kidney disease.
Is this something that I should go to the doctor for before taking any supplements?
Yeah, to make sure definitely that your kidneys to begin with are not problematic. Right.
That's reassuring.
Yeah. But most people naman would have very sufficient
Healthy.
symptoms. Yeah, they
Yeah.
should be having healthy kidneys, right?
I was gonna ask, like, can you tell if your kidneys are shot or?
Most people can. I mean, at some point, symptoms will arise.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I'm pretty sure you would know if you only have one kidney or something.
Okay. In relation to the kidney thing. Okay, so we debunked the kidney thing that people ask about, like with relation to whey protein. What if? Why are people getting acne from whey protein?
There's still a gray area in science with it. There is no direct causation na uminom ka ng whey protein, automatic magkaka-pimple ka bukas, magkaka-acne ka. There's nothing like that. What's more on happening is the act of taking whey protein is associated with a host of other behaviors. So usually you take whey protein when you do what? You start working out, which means you are exposed to the gym environment, which may have more bacteria than usual.
And you're touching your face.
And you're touching your face, you're touching your back, you're lying on that sweaty bench where somebody else who had acne probably laid on. So that's probably one. Number two could be stress, right? Number three, you may have a low-grade lactose intolerance. So if you are intolerant to lactose, it may cause inflammation if you do get a brand that has more lactose, right? So there are a myriad of factors regarding that we can't say that whey protein causes acne. We can't say it doesn't cause acne.
Yeah.
It's still a gray area. But if you're a dermatologist, most of my friends that are dermas here would probably just also agree na try it out.
Case.
Yeah, case to case. Try it out. Kung okay naman, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most likely it's more on personal hygiene. Make sure you scrub more. Make sure you like do those things. I mean, I've been taking whey protein. I don't have acne.
He has
so-
perfect skin.
So,
Me
but that's N equals one, right? That still doesn't count as scientific experiment. So again, case to case.
Case-to-case
that-
basis. What do we think about the notion that people are saying protein powder makes you bloated and gain weight?
Well, bloated and gain weight are like two different things, right? Bloating means you probably feel a sense of fullness in your stomach. It could also mean you have gas. Both points to some sort of low-grade intolerance to one of the substances included.
Lactose intolerance.
It could be, but you know, there's a lot of things in that powder, right? There's also like flavorings. Maybe you're allergic to a specific dye. Maybe a specific dye doesn't sit well with you. Maybe the sugar alternative that it uses. Maybe there's a lot of things in there that you just gotta figure it out which one siya. But yeah, bloating and gas both usually relates to those things.
So again, it's a case-to-case basis. And there's so many flavors out there. There's so many different types of protein. So you have to explore to find the one that works for you.
Yeah, definitely.
What happens though if you go overboard with protein?
I think the question becomes, is there really an overboard for protein?
Or is this there's just an optimal
Yeah, there's definitely an optimal. I can tell you where the optimal is, but I can't tell you where the over part is because you can't technically overeat protein as well. So this falls back that since this is a general podcast, we're not doing one-on-one consults here, then I would say it goes back to the main principles of dieting or nutrition, which is balance and moderation. Find something in the sense na you're not sacrificing protein, I mean other things for protein.
Yeah.
Na yung pagkain mo becomes itlog na, ang kasama ng itlog hindi tinapay kung hindi protein bread din.
Yeah.
Tapos on top of that protein bread, meron ka pang protein spread. Parang ganon. So if you're in that case, then most likely that's one of the possible characteristics of overindulging.
Overboard.
Na you're starting to sacrifice social health for, I don't know, more protein.
But nothing bad is gonna happen.
Nothing bad is going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are studies that even have shown 3 grams per kilogram. So this is a study with 2018 pa ata to. ISSN, International Society of Sports Nutrition. They fed people 3 grams per kilogram of body weight on protein. That means if you're 100 kilos, that's 300 grams of crazy protein per day. That's a lot of protein to even get down.
Yeah.
And nothing happened to their kidneys throughout the entire duration of the study. So that means it's safe naman. So worst case scenario, safe siya. Best case scenario, baka wala naman yung mangyari sa'yo.
Walang mangyari.
Or mahirap na talagang gawin.
Yeah. I can't even imagine eating 300 grams of.
It's impossible. I can't do it. I can
That's
flat
too
out
much.
that.
So you're eating all day with that. So there's nothing to worry about if you eat too much of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for clarifying so much today. I feel like I learned a lot. As someone who's been taking protein for so many years, I never knew the intricacies or what it really was. So thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us in this episode of Supplementation 101, where we focused on protein. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you. I feel like I've been taking protein powder for a while, but now I really realize the good, the bad, and what we're really looking for. What should we look for again for Whey Isolate?
For Whey Isolate, it's WPI. So 90 is your magic number.
Okay, what if Whey Concentrate?
Concentrate is 80. That is the highest quality use for supplementation.
That's all we need to know, everybody. So thank you so much for listening again to Nutrition Depot Podcast. Watch out for the next episode where we talk about creatine. Nutrition Depot, your fitness fuel.